So yeah, this actually, I thought I had never heard of her, but apparently I might have not so much heard as, I mean, I've seen a couple of movies by Gloria Graham in the past. Apparently, of course, a couple doesn't mean much. Usually, it's required at least like four or such to get sort of a grip as to who they are. So that sort of explains why I wasn't even aware she was real. I don't know why I assumed it was any other case, really. I mean, um, but somehow I did. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I'm just saying. Yeah, um, I've watched a couple apparently. One last summer, so the freshest in my mind. I think I might have commented on it as well, possibly. I've commented on. Um, but yeah. So that was mm, the man who didn't exist or something. I think it was called. Yeah, and I remember liking it as far as it goes, for its own genre at least. The man who never was specifically, yeah. That's very early on. Yeah, nearly 30 years before she died. So yeah, and then apparently I also watched the More Woman's Secret, but I don't remember it at all. Must have been years ago that I watched it. I don't even remember the synopsis or anything. So yeah, but so that's pretty much it. I mean, I mean, I was wondering whether if I checked before whether this person really existed or not. What if I decide then based on how many movies I watched or such to watch. But I don't suppose it matters too much, does it? I mean, well, at least I've watched a couple, but I don't suppose it does matter, does it? Whether one watch it to watch a biopic specifically, I suppose. I mean, one close sort of, and yeah, to be honest, I don't know why I even think I shouldn't watch biographies or documentaries even about like bands or such, because inevitably they're going to have their songs and such, but movies as well. Although I do prefer movies, I suppose. It's in a sense, if you just watch a documentary, straight away. At least a movie, so it's sort of its own internal universe. But documentaries, it makes much more sense to watch documentaries, I suppose, when you already know just a slight bit. Not, it's not a lot. That's the whole point of a documentary. But if you know a slight bit, then it, when it comes to bands, you know the music a bit, or if it comes to a person, then yeah, with yeah, with people though, um, it's better if they were movies at any rate. I once watched a Frida about Carlo, and I had never actually heard of her before, but you know what? I didn't mind. I learned about her and then looked up her paintings afterwards. In a way, I appreciated the art, probably more. Obviously, especially since her art is all about how her disability affected her, and the movie obviously goes into how she got her disability in the first place. So that's why I prefer movies in a way. I sort of never think, should I know more about this person before? Probably not, because but then again, I mean, same sort of argument I'm going for. Anyway, this movie specifically, though, it was interesting, sort of. I mean, obviously, it is a strange relationship that she had, but it's obviously very depressing as well. What the doctor said at the end there, it's probably the worst thing that can be said, and the fact that if she really didn't do that to save her hair, that's the uh, that's the weirdest. And, I wouldn't be surprised because apparently she also dabbled in, I'm assuming, plastic surgery. I'm not sure how advanced plastic surgery was back then, but apparently her lips didn't work or such because of things she did. So yeah, um, it's quite something, where in society, but in a likely society that obviously did present this sort of environment for someone to be so, I guess, narcissistic in a way, to such an extent that their own very life is threatened, right? I mean, what's what's better to preserve exactly, hair or life itself? Well, don't suppose they need hair much if there's no life. So yeah, it's uh, it's unfortunate. So uh, as it is, though, yeah, I mean it's a biography, so in a way it's like a documentary as well, which doesn't really enable me to say much about it, I guess, unless there were specific things that I could comment on because I'm interested in the topic as such. But this is more about a life specifically, and not even a life in comparison to, in contrast to society at large, but a life in contrast to other personal matters in a way. So it's very self-contained, in other words, and not very able to be addressed from any sort of abstract angle, you know, unlike, say, Green Book, which was also a biography, but still touched on sort of external issues, in the sense societal issues. This didn't so much, except for maybe commentary on her relationship and such. As presented, the movie seems to be. No. There is this one discrepancy about which form of neoplasm it was. Because apparently the book didn't mention breast at all. It mentioned uh, stomach, which apparently she had both. So yeah, I don't think at the same time. I think first one and then the other. But somehow the movie made it seem like she had the former at the very end. That, I think, is the only inaccuracy I spotted. Apparently, the book doesn't mention the former at all for some reason. But apparently, I think in real life she had both. But anyway, in relation to how inaccurate movies can be, or when it comes to biography, I suppose there's also the possibility of propaganda. Kind of like J. Edgar and such. Presented that possibility in subtle doses. Uh, This one, though, no, not really. I mean, it's not like it painted hair as some sort of angelic figure, or even him. Considering he is really writing the biography here of the same name. And by the way, yeah, he seems to have been the one who put the chair there in the empty theater. So that's interesting. Obviously, he's old now, but that's the real guy who had a relationship with her. So yeah, the ending there, the very end, somehow did touch me somehow. I mean, it's not like I even watched those movies talked about yet, but no, when it came to the whole movie, that climaxes at such a point there, and the way it ended up, it moved me somehow. Not that, as I said, I have anything to do with the specific, movies or Oscar ceremony at all. I don't care about Oscars really, but so I mean, I'm just saying that, despite there being very little that I can relate to, when it comes to watching the whole movie and then it ending up there somehow, it did feel like there was something there, something that it really provoked. And yeah, by the way, this also is somewhat reminiscent of Millennium Actress, but it's an anime, and as usual, when it comes to animation generally, they tend to be better. They tend to be more sort of special and obviously pleasant to look at. And I do love it much more. I mean, then again, I really do like Satoshi Kon's movies generally, and Soul Series. So yeah, but when it comes to this, I mean, this feels similar. They're not exactly identical or anything. I mean, the Millennium Actress is more about her trying to find her love in the first place, so as opposed to here, where she did find her last love and stayed with him, etc. So slightly different, and doesn't quite go as much into her acting past here. That is, whereas Millennium Actress it does much more. I mean, obviously uses animation to depict all these different things, whereas live action movies cannot quite depict. But yeah, so Satoshi Kon liked doing these meta sort of movies, which is why there is a movie about an actress. Of course, why not? An animated movie about an actress in a movie. Couldn't get more meta than that, Suppose you could say more meta than just having an actress in a movie, playing an actress. Yeah. I do prefer Millennium Actress. It's very much more beautiful and more abstract as well in a way, and animation is just glorious. But this was still interesting. Unfortunately, I don't know much more, or at least I could possibly relate to her more, possibly as in relate her ending to what I've seen before. I've only seen her pretty much I can remember in one movie, but literally just one, two in total, but one that I've just seen recently, where she did seem to get top billing with her male co-partner apparently. So at least there's that. But really, I didn't quite. I mean, I didn't even know that I watched that until I researched. That's how much I didn't realize it was the same person. I mean, if you only watch just a single movie, pretty much in recent past at least, then yeah, it's a bit difficult to connect it to something else. Biopic in this instance. If I watched a biopic, I suppose of Tom Hanks or something, I'm sure I'd be able to relate much more to the biopic to other movies. Not that obviously the movies they play someone else. They do act. They don't play themselves necessarily, but there's always something, isn't there? They land to themselves. Whereas here, all there was of the real actress in the movie itself is a few seconds. Yeah, okay, when total of maybe 10, 20 seconds at best. So yeah, not that much. Just from single movie she made, but I think, and at the end, the Oscar win. That's pretty much it. And honestly, I didn't even realize they were different people. Obviously she was the the fact that she was also 58. Yeah, the real actress was 58 is incredible because she did look much older. That's the power of makeup, as I assume. But yeah, I mean, in the end, it was interesting, but it's still not that much. But it didn't make much in box office though. Probably because not too much advertising, but I've no idea really. Otherwise, ultimately, um, but yeah, it's a depressing biopic. It's kind of like Love Story itself, I suppose. Literally the movie called Love Story. It's sort of similar, I suppose, in the sense of obviously Romeo and Juliet itself. So yeah, not quite the ages, obviously, just the the tragedy behind it. But yeah, ultimately, it is what it is.